Have you ever gotten to the practice room and just not even known where to begin? There's so much material to work on. Or maybe you're a beginner and you just need a little extra guidance. Whatever the case may be, I'm going to be sharing with you everything I know about getting the most out of your time in the practice room so that you can get results faster and leave feeling like you've actually accomplished something. Let's get into it. So I want you to start by taking out a piece of plain white paper and a pen or pencil, and we're going to make some SMART goals. If you haven't heard of that before, it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So we're going to do long-term and short-term goals. So for example, a shorter-term goal could be learning all 12 major scales in 1 week. And we're going to be specific about it by saying we're going to do them at 60 beats per minute in eighth notes, and we're going to do 2 per day so that in 1 week we'll have all 12 figured out. This is a very attainable goal for most people. It's relevant. We use our scales everywhere, and we have a time set on it. So we can also do this with longer term goals. Say you're auditioning for an ensemble or for a school or anything like that. We can do the same thing. We're going to be specific. Do we need to learn sight reading? Do we need improvisation, etudes, anything like that? And we're going to write down all of the steps it takes to get there. So once you have all of your goals written out, I want you to take your piece of paper and tape it somewhere you're going to see or somewhere that you practice every day. And this is just going to give you a little extra motivation to get into the practice room and start shedding. So now that you're in the practice room, you know what you're working on, what your goals are. I want you to keep a practice journal. You can keep a physical pen and paper, you can do it on your phone, whatever works for you, but just keeping a visual journal of what you're working on every day, how much time you've spent, maybe some of your thoughts and things that you learned is going to help so that you can measure how you're doing. You can look back and see, oh, I really made a lot of progress in this area, or I didn't quite hit maybe that specific skill today. I want to really make sure I hit it tomorrow. This is just going to help organize your thoughts and make sure that you're really staying accountable. All right, now let's get into the juicy part of it. So how are we actually going to structure all of these different elements that we have to work on? Well, I like to use the Pomodoro Technique, which is where you set a timer for 25 minutes, focus on one thing, and then take a 5-minute break, and then restart the 25-minute timer and focus on a different thing. So the way I usually like to do this is my first 25 minutes will be a warm-up focused on sound. So this would include anything from overtones, long tones, listening. I have a whole video on how I like to work on my tone that you can check out here. And after I've done that, we're going to take a 5-minute break. And this isn't going to be a 5-minute break of scrolling through social media, stimulating our brain with all of this excess. This is going to be a very meditative break. So just sit, relax, breathe, even let yourself get a little bit bored. You know, if we can get ourselves even a little bored during this break, we're going to be more excited to hop on those next 25 minutes instead of draining ourselves with all this dopamine from social media and then being like, oh, I don't really want to work on this really hard etude I have. So keep your breaks sacred. And after you've done a sound, warm up, any kind of warm up you like to do, then I like to work on technique, patterns, licks and 12 keys, anything like that. So that would go under the general technique banner. So here is where you'd work on your 12 major scales, minor scales, Dorian, all the different modes, doing different patterns. If you want me to make a video on some of my favorite scale patterns or more licks that I like, let me know in the comments and I can definitely do that for you guys. But this is just making sure that my fingers are doing what they're supposed to do. You know, I don't want to be playing a tune-up tempo and then my fingers are really sloppy and I can't get out the patterns or licks that I want. So it's really shedding those more intricate details. After I've done technique, this is a good time to work on etudes or repertoire. And if you are a jazz player and you've never played classical before, I would highly recommend you start picking up some classical pieces. Classical music for saxophone is a great way to refine a lot of things that we might not necessarily get to in more jazz music. For example, we can really focus in on our tone, our articulation, our technique, pattern work, All of that is going to be in the etudes. And if you can learn to play classical as a jazz musician, then you're going to be just that much better at improvisation. Trust me on this and pick up a classical piece and let me know how it goes. After that, we can get to more of the jazz repertoire and improvisation. So here I might be focusing on memorizing tunes, learning chord changes, figuring out different ways that I want to approach a tune, making sure I have those melodies solid, anything like that. So now if you've done the math, we have 4 sections: sound, patterns and technique, etudes and repertoire, especially focusing on classical and anything that's going to help with those more intricate details of our playing, and improvisation and melody focused on more of the jazz repertoire, standards, things like that. If you do the math, that's already 2 hours and we've hit all of these different items. That's really beneficial and you're going to be getting a lot out of that. Now, if you have even more time, some other things that I like to work on, especially if I'm going towards an audition coming up or something like that, I would like to spend 25 minutes on sight reading, getting better at that because that's just something we all need to work on all the time. It's used in every gig, every audition. It's really just going to improve your musicianship overall. And composing and writing. Being able to have the time to compose music and really think through what you want to play is a great way to actually improve your improv because you're not doing it right on the spot, but you have time to really work out these ideas and figure them out. And bringing in your own tunes to sessions or to gigs or anything like that is a really professional and exciting thing to do. One other thing I want to mention specifically for you jazz saxophonists is doubling. One thing that I'm really glad I did was set aside those first 25 minutes for learning doubles, flute, and clarinet specifically, and I like to put those at the beginning of my whole practice session before I get into saxophone to make sure the flute embouchure is nice and relaxed specifically. Clarinet, it shouldn't matter too much, but if you're learning doubles, that can be a great 25-minute sections to add to the beginning of your practice routine. Make sure that you record yourself often. So whether that's just taking out your phone and listening back, recording yourself can be one of your biggest teachers. Listening back can really reveal a lot of things about your playing. You might realize that your intonation was a little wonky here and maybe you need to focus on that by looking at a tuner while you play. Or you might realize that your timing got a little off in this section and maybe you want to practice that with a metronome now. Whatever it may be, recording yourself and listening back can teach you so much about your playing and can really make your progress accelerate. Speaking of teaching yourself, if you're taking private lessons, that would be a huge bonus. And if you're looking for a teacher, I am offering a few more private lesson spots for the summer. You can click the link down below and sign up. Having a teacher is really going to help you to stay focused, have someone that you're being accountable every week to, and they can teach you things that you might just not get to on your own or wouldn't get to for many years. They can give you a lot of recommendations and things to work on and just help make your playing the very best that it can be as soon as possible. I would highly recommend getting a private teacher if you don't already have one. One other area that I like to point out can be really helpful to work on is just focusing on only your time. And you can even do this without the instrument in your hand. You can take a pair of drumsticks or just use your hands, whatever you have, and tap out different rhythms, sing a melody while you tap on 2 and 4, work on polyrhythms, different subdivisions, triplets, quintuplets, anything like that, and try out different time games. It's going to really help your overall sense of time, and that's one thing I really like to work on. Another one you can do is ear training, right? Listen to different chord qualities, figure those out, arpeggiate them on your instrument. There's also different online websites I'll link below that you can check out that will help with your ear training. And try and learn transcriptions, try and learn tunes by ear. That can definitely be a big help to you. Make sure that you're focusing in on problem spots. So if you're playing a transcription, an etude, a piece you have for an ensemble, don't just read it top to bottom bottom over and over and over again. Focus on the areas that you're messing up every single time and just work on that one measure or those two measures, and it's going to make a big difference and really help you improve much faster. Now, obviously, all of these different areas can be adjusted to your specific goals that you've written down earlier and things that you're working on. For example, if you have a gig coming up that you really need to work on the music for, that can go into your repertoire section instead of learning a classical etude or something like that. So make it unique to you, look back on those goals and make sure that they are all very relevant to you. And let's talk about some ways to supplement your practice. So while practice sessions are great for working on your own and figuring things out, ultimately we want to get into the real world too, right? So I really recommend going to some local jam sessions, going to see some gigs and live music to get inspiration from, and signing up for private lessons. All right, I hope this video was helpful for you. If I missed anything that you like to bring in the practice room, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and happy practicing.